Chapter 2 City of Windcatchers. The first thing Aryan noticed was not the mesmerizing rays of morning sunlight filtering through the adaptive windows, but the unusual silence. It was January of the year 2568 in Yazd, Persia. He thought drowsily as he watched the glass ceramic panels shift from deep amber to clear when they detected the crisp winter air outside. New year, new discoveries. At least the windows are smart enough to know it is still cold outside. Silence is unusual in a world where neural implants buzz constantly with data streams, and the city of Yazd hums with quiet efficiency of AI managed systems. Aryan Behram lay in his bed, the soft neural interface resting against his temple like a sleeping butterfly. Multiple data streams should have been dancing across his peripheral vision by now. News updates, environmental readings, and the social connections from across the Persian territories. Instead, there was nothing but the gentle play of light across his ceiling. Odd, very odd, he muttered, touching the device. The interface flickered to life, but instead of the usual morning cascade of information, a single message appeared in stark red colors across his vision. Unity platform, the global system is offline. Estimated restoration time unknown. Everything is down. The Federation's Unity platform, a vast integrated consciousness system, is a field that has evolved far beyond the early concept of generative AI and artificial general intelligence. The platform, which connects every human to every other human and every system to every other system and operates at the level of consciousness, has gone completely dark. What the hell? Aryan sat up abruptly, the implications hitting him like a cold wave. The Unity platform never went down. It was the backbone of the entire human civilization. Downstairs, Dr. Cyrus Behram is standing before what should have been a holographic projection, shimmering above the breakfast table. Instead, he is staring at an empty space where his morning archaeological data should have been dancing in the three-dimensional glory. He grimly considers the perfect winter sunlight wasted on an empty table and appreciates how the low January sun creates ideal conditions for examining dig site data. If only he could access some. Cyrus bore the weathered dignity of a man who had spent 4 decades negotiating between tradition and progress. His face was a map of desert winds, deeply lined but strong, with the same dark eyes as his son, but tempered by experience and responsibility. Silver threaded through his black beard, and his hands, broader and more scarred than Aryan's, spoke of years of excavation work. At 45, he moved with deliberate purpose, his tall frame slightly stooped from years of working in low ceiling archaeological sites outside the city. For 23 years, I have worked in archaeology, he muttered to silent air. Today, I find myself completely dependent on the Unity platform for my morning briefings. His weathered hands moved through empty air where holographic layers of information should have been responding to his touch. The excavation site near Yazd had been yielding artifacts for months. But this morning, all the data was locked away behind the platform's unprecedented failure. He paused, staring at the dead projection unit. In his 2 decades as an archaeologist, he had seen technological failures before, but never anything like this. The Unity platform was supposed to be invulnerable, distributed across thousands of quantum servers with backup systems that could maintain global connectivity even during planetary disasters. Stories never come without their technological crutches, he said bitterly. his voice carrying the weight of sudden helplessness. And when the crutches break, you realize how dependent you have become. The projection unit remained stubbornly dark. For the first time in his lifetime, Cyrus Behram was completely cut off from his life's work. Morning, Dad. Aryan appeared in the doorway, his hair defying gravity in at least three different directions. Neural implants shining in the morning light, no longer pulsing with data streams. January is the worst month for hair, he thought irritably. But at least now I have bigger problems than static. At 17, he carried the unmistakable features of his Persian heritage: olive skin, burnished golden by the relentless sun of central Iran, and dark eyes that held depths like old tunnels beneath the city. His black hair caught occasional glints of copper when the light struck it just at the right angle. The desert had shaped him as it had shaped his ancestors for millennia. His lean frame spoke of adaptation to the arid climate, built for endurance rather than for bulk. There was something timeless about his appearance, as if he could have walked from pages of ancient Zoroastrian texts. Yet the subtle neural interface spoke behind his left ear, and the way his eyes occasionally flickered with the telltale signs of assessing the city's data networks, marked him unmistakably as a child of the 26th century, bridging the gap between Yaz's storied past and its transformed future. Yet he possessed the combination of admiration and irritation that all teenagers felt towards their parents, especially when that parent happened to be one of Persia's most respected archaeologists and is currently staring sadly at a dead holographic projector. Good morning, son. Nice hair. Though I suppose with the Unity platform down, there is no one to share the photos of this miracle with the global community. Even during this catastrophe, Cyrus maintains his humor and gestures helplessly towards the empty space above the table. Take a look at this. What do you see? Very funny, Dad. I see exactly what you see. Absolutely nothing. Aryan ran his fingers through his unruly hair, which promptly sprang back to a chaotic arrangement. The platform has been down for hours, hasn't it? Since midnight, according to my implant's lost sync. Aryan approached the table, staring at the useless projection unit. Growing up in Behram household meant being surrounded by innovative technology, and he had never seen any system fail so completely. His father had been telling him stories of ancient civilizations since he could walk, but now those stories were trapped in databases and neither of them could access. The subsurface imaging, the stratification data, and the historical records, everything is locked behind the platform. Aryan pointed to the dead unit as he spoke. Dad, when was the last time you worked without access to global databases? Cyrus smiled grimly. 1987? My great-great-great-grandfather was young and used paper notebooks and actual photographs, physical books, if you can imagine such a thing. Come on, Dad. And when? Aryan added as he studied his father's expression. Was the last time the Unity platform went down even for a minute? Father and son exchanged glances. In their connected world, a minute without the platform is considered a major global disaster. Hours of complete silence are unprecedented. Never, Cyrus admitted. This has never happened before. The sound of footsteps on the stairs announced Dr. Meher Behram's arrival before even she entered the room. Her neural implant, specialized for environmental monitoring, is completely dark and no longer pulses with the subtle colors that reflect her emotional state and the atmospheric data she constantly processes. This morning, it is as lifeless as everyone else's. Aryan's mother, Meher, embodied the very essence of Persian grace. At 42, her beauty had evolved from the striking features of youth into something more profound: high cheekbones and expressive dark eyes that could convey entire conversations without words. Her black hair, now showing elegant streaks of silver, was typically weaved into intricate braids that honored both ancient Persian traditions and modern practicality. Good morning, my brilliant but suddenly disconnected scientists, she said, eyeing the dead coffee maker with genuine concern. Her voice carried the same warmth that had first attracted Cyrus during their university days. Back then, they communicated through actual conversations instead of shared data streams and holographic updates. Hey, at least the old style coffee maker still works, Aryan said. He expressed gratitude for any technology that functioned. Maybe being retro isn't so bad after all. Good thing we kept some ancient appliances around, Meher replied. They had met there studying ice age cycles. He approached the topic from perspective of human civilizations and she from planetary ecology. Their first argument had been about whether ancient humans or woolly mammoths were more stubborn. Now they were about to find out if modern humans could be equally resilient when their technological support systems disappeared. Meher was usually surrounded by a constant flow of environmental data, like a visible aura, as she moved to the breakfast spread. She always became especially focused on January when all the previous year's restoration data were being compiled and the new season's projects were beginning. But this morning, she looked almost lost without her holographic display. The Atacama Desert Restoration Project, she said. All the data from last night's monitoring cycle, I can't access any of it. 7 reintroduced species that we have been tracking, atmospheric readings, and soil microbiome health. Everything is locked away behind this blackout. I am unable to comprehend what could have caused it. I have a strange feeling about this, and not in a good way. She poured herself coffee from the manual pot, and Aryan watched the stream rise in cool morning air. At least, coffee still tastes the same when the world's most advanced platform fails, he thought. The rich aroma, mingling with the unusual silence where electronic hums should have been, created an eerily quiet soundtrack for their morning routine. If the platform doesn't come back online soon, we are looking at a complete breakdown of global environmental monitoring. Decades of restoration work could be jeopardized if we can't coordinate the maintenance systems. Aryan is watching his mother with a mixture of concern and fascination. While his father found stories in dusts and stones, his mother works with living and breathing narratives of planetary survival, all of which are currently inaccessible. Earth's ecosystem doesn't just adapt, she had told him countless times, usually while reviewing streams of environmental data. It remembers every molecule carries the story of survival, and the Unity platform helps us listen to those stories across the entire planet. Mom, Aryan said quietly, what happens to all those stories when the platform goes silent? That's what we are about to find out, dear, and it's really terrifying. Her neural implant, dark and silent, served as a constant reminder of how dependent they had all become on the global platform that had connected every human consciousness to the vast web of information defining their civilization. I keep reaching for data that isn't there, she admitted. It's like trying to remember a word that's on the tip of your tongue, except the word is everything. It's 8:45 a.m., but the space above their breakfast table remains stubbornly empty. No gentle chime, no holographic materialization. Zara's daily check-in time, a tradition that had lasted through years of secondary school, had been halted by the platform's unprecedented silence. Good morning, archaeology's most promising hair. Aryan imagines Zara's voice, accompanied by her typical chuckle and a smile that has a hint of naughtiness. She's probably trying to connect, Aryan says. staring at the empty air where his best friend's projection should have appeared by now. For the first time since we were 12, I don't know what Zara's doing or thinking. The absence felt profound. Zara is not just Aryan's closest friend, she is a technological prodigy whose family has been among the pioneers of advanced brain chip interfaces. If any would check. If anyone could find a way around the platform failure, it would be Zara. However, even she remains trapped by this global blackout. I never realized how much of our relationships exist in the platform, Aryan continued. The realization hitting him with unexpected force. When did we stop actually talking to each other and start just sharing data streams? Cyrus looked up from his cold coffee. Zara lives only 15 minutes away. If you travel via the teleportation-based transportation system from Srinagar in Kashmir to Yazd in Persia, but it feels as if we might as well be on a different planets right now. The irony, Meher said quietly, is that we have spent decades connecting the entire human race. Now that everything has gone silent, we are more isolated than people were centuries ago. At least people in past had physical mails and telephones. The room was filled with an uncomfortable silence. Not the peaceful quiet of a winter morning, but the oppressive absence of constant technological hum that had defined their lives for decades. This isn't just a technical failure, Aryan said, voicing what they were all thinking. The Unity platform was designed to be unbreakable. It is distributed, redundant, and quantum encrypted across multiple dimensions of space-time. It should be impossible for it to just stop. Cyrus nodded grimly. This means that either something impossible has happened or something we did not think was possible has occurred. Or, Meher said, as an environmental scientist, she considered the implications. Something is happening that's big enough to overwhelm systems we thought were overwhelm proof. The room fell into a contemplative silence as they faced the reality of their situation. Through the smart glass windows, now functioning on basic automation without platform connectivity, Aryan could see the morning commute beginning to show signs of disruption. Autonomous vehicles moved. When did we stop actually talking to each other and start just sharing data streams? Cyrus looked up from his cold coffee. Zara lives only 15 minutes away. If you travel via the teleportation-based transportation system from Srinagar in Kashmir to Yazd in Persia, but it feels as if we might as well be on a different planets right now. The irony, Meher said quietly, is that we have spent decades connecting the entire human race. Now that everything has gone silent, we are more isolated than people were centuries ago. At least people in past had physical mails and telephones. The room was filled with an uncomfortable silence. Not the peaceful quiet of a winter morning, but the oppressive absence of constant technological hum that had defined their lives for decades. This isn't just a technical failure, Aryan said, voicing what they were all thinking. The Unity platform was designed to be unbreakable. It is distributed, redundant, and quantum encrypted across multiple dimensions of space-time. It should be impossible for it to just stop. Cyrus nodded grimly. This means that either something impossible has happened or something we did not think was possible has occurred. Or, Meher said, as an environmental scientist, she considered the implications. Something is happening that's big enough to overwhelm systems we thought were overwhelm proof. The room fell into a contemplative silence as they faced the reality of their situation. Through the smart glass windows, now functioning on basic automation without platform connectivity, Aryan could see the morning commute beginning to show signs of disruption. Autonomous vehicles moved more slowly and clustered together in the obvious confusion, lacking their constant connection to the global traffic coordination system. The city of Yazd began to experience what it meant to function without the neural networks that had guided its every operation for decades. The city remains a living testament to humanity's evolution, with Zoroastrian architecture standing alongside innovative technology. However, without the Unity platform, it is like watching a symphony orchestra suddenly play without a conductor. Traditional adobe walls, reinforced with self-healing nanomaterials, still stand strong, but the smart surfaces that usually respond to their occupants' needs now cycle through the basic default patterns. From his window, Aryan could see the familiar Persian blue geometric patterns that adorned many of the buildings, their smart surfaces now displaying static designs instead of dynamic, responsive art that usually reflected the community's collective mood and needs. Aryan felt a strange mixture of anxiety and anticipation. This was unprecedented in human history, the complete failure of the system that connected their entire civilization. But there was something almost liberating about it too. Dad, he said as he turned from the window, what if this actually is an opportunity? What if we have become so dependent on the platform that we have forgotten how to function without it? Cyrus looked at his son with new attention. What do you mean? Think about it. Your archaeological work, mom's environmental research, and my studies have all been filtered through the platform for so long that we have stopped experiencing things directly. When was the last time you went to a dig site without consulting the global databases first? When did we last make a discovery that was not predicted by some algorithm? He paused, his impossible hair catching the morning light in a way that somehow made it look intentionally artistic. What if this silence is showing us something we have forgotten how to see? Meher and Cyrus exchanged glances. Their son is articulating something they both feel but have not dared to voice, that their hyperconnected world has disconnected them from something more immediate and real. There's only one way to find out what we can accomplish without the platform, Cyrus said finally, standing up and stretching. We go back to basics. We visit the dig site with our own eyes instead of through holographic projections. We make observations instead of consulting databases. But first, he pointed at Aryan, you need to fix your hair. I refuse to rediscover the fundamentals of archaeology with a son who looks like he was struck by lightning. And I am coming too, Aryan announced firmly. If we are going to figure out how to function without the platform, I want to be a part of it. Plus, someone needs to document Dad's first non-digital archaeological observation in last 20 years. I am disowning both of you, Meher muttered. But she was grinning. Fine, we'll all go. But if this platform failure turns out to be permanent, I want it to be on record that my family spent the morning making fun of hairstyle challenges instead of preparing for the collapse of civilization. Deal, Cyrus laughed, wrapping his arm around his son's shoulders. Though technically, if civilization collapses, there won't be anyone left to keep records or to read it. Then we'll all just have to make sure it doesn't collapse, Aryan said, finally managing to smooth down one particularly defiant hair strand, and maybe figure out how to live without being constantly connected to everyone and everything every time. Aryan turned from the window, sunlight dancing across his face. The crisp January light made everything appear sharper and more defined, including the strange realization that this morning forced him and others to rediscover what it meant to be human without technological mediation. There was something about the start of a new year that made possibilities feel endless, and the silence that had initially seemed like an absence now felt like a clean slate. Today is going to be different, he said, watching his parents prepare for their first unguided, unconnected, purely human adventure in decades. He had no idea how profoundly different things were going to become. Outside, the city of Yazd is struggling to adapt to life without the Unity platform. Its citizens are trying to navigate a world where they must look each other in the eyes instead of sharing data streams. The people going about their disrupted January routines, still adjusting to writing 2568 instead of 2567, have no idea that this particular morning will mark the beginning of a rediscovery of what it means to be human in an age where humanity has forgotten how to be alone with itself. The breakfast sat cooling on the table as the Behram family prepares to venture into a world where direct experiences has suddenly become more valuable than the processed information. Right after Aryan finds industrial strength hair gel and everyone getting ready for what promises to be a very interesting introduction to pre digital archaeology.